Hi friends, it's Terry Stewart, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, located in the U.S. in Central Maryland. Welcome to this quarter's, the first in 2025 Woohoo Weekend. Yay! So I am away from my craft room again, but I'm recording this presentation and I'm really excited to share it with you. So whether you're watching, I guess, live or on replay, welcome. Let's get started. My project for this Woohoo Weekend features the Ocean Friends stamp set here and the coordinating die set. And this is one of my favorites from the mini catalog, the 2025 January to April 2025 mini, because I love these little crab images. I live near the Chesapeake Bay. We have famous for the Maryland blue crabs, and so that's what caught my attention and why I was drawn to the set. But then it also has lobsters, it has some corals, some sea grasses, and some great sentiments, and these little tiny air bubbles. And I'm just been having a lot of fun with this stamp set and the dies. So the dies match up with this crab and the lobster images. Then it has one of these sea grasses, and we're going to be using this coral die. And not only does it cut, but it also embosses, as does these little starfish here. Now you can also have this wavy, and I haven't used it, but I've seen this a lot, and I'm really looking forward to doing some wavy edges, cutting cardstock and DSP. So that is the stamp set I'm using, and there is a coordinating DSP pack, which has starfish, some more undersea images, and it's bright. All these colors. There you have some more underwater images, and there is a sheet in here where if you don't want to stamp the lobster or the crab, the dies fit perfectly over these images, and you can just die cut them out and use those on your projects. And then on the reverse side, you got some ombre, some fans, just a variety of patterns that doesn't necessarily go under the ocean, but is bright and cheery. So yeah. Then this is called Friends of the Ocean, where the other one is Ocean Friends. The die bundle is Ocean Friends, and this is Friends of the Ocean. And when you turn it over, you can see on the back here, it will tell you what colors, and it's Berry Burst, Calypso Coral, Lemon Lime Twist, Melon Mambo, Pumpkin Pie, and Summer Splash. So those are the coordinating colors. Let me show you my project and kind of explain to you a little bit about it. So this is not the exact project I'm making, but it's a template, and I'm going to turn this where this piece has DSP from the celebration that's going on now. I'm going to just take that paper and switch it up with the Friends of the Ocean. Same colors, because the Melon Mambo and Pumpkin Pie are in the Friends of the Ocean. So let me show you the supplies. So I have some scraps. This is Summer Splash, Melon Mambo, Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to be doing some die cutting with those. Now here are the supplies to make this card, but again I am changing up the DSP. We'll be using Friends of the Ocean, so it'll be right like that, but the same. You can see it's a lot of the similar colors. Now the measurements for these projects, I'll be giving them in Imperial, but they are available in a PDF that the demonstrator who invited you to this Woohoo Weekend can provide you. All you have to do is reach out and ask her, and she will provide a PDF which will have a photo of the final project supply list with cutting measurements in both imperial and metric. So I have a piece of that DSP, and it is 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. And you do want to, if you have one a pattern in your DSP, you do want the 3 1/4 and then the 3 1/2 on the long side, a portrait basically. And then I have a small piece of that DSP, and this is a 1/2 inch by 4 inches. Let me do it the other way. So my card base is Melon Mambo, and that's a 1/2 sheet of cardstock. So that is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2. My metric friends, that would be 14.9 by 21 centimeters. I have a piece of basic white, and that's 4 inches by 5 1/4, or 10 by 14.4 centimeters. A layer of white, and this is the front. Now this one is 3 3/4 by 5 inches, which I believe in metric, let me see if I can get this right, is 9.5 by 13.9 centimeters. And then this piece is just a little bit smaller, and in imperial it would be 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. Yes, 4 3/4. So maybe 9 centimeters by 13.4, but don't hold me to that. Again, get the PDF from the demonstrator who invited you. So let me put some things aside, and we can get ready. And the first thing we are going to do is some die cutting. So let me set all of my supplies to the side, and I am going to take these 3 pieces of scrap. I have a piece of Summer Splash, Melon Mambo, and Granny Apple Green, and I'm going to take those to my cut and emboss machine with these dies. I'm going to do a coral. That's going to go on that sheet, and then I'm going to cut some of these little starfish out. So I'll cut a Melon Mambo, Granny Apple Green, and then Summer Splash. I'm going to head over to my cut and emboss machine, and I'll be right back. And I am back with my die cutting. You can see this coral, how it cuts it out, but also puts in this texture. Isn't that lovely? And the same with these starfish. So the die cuts out 3 of them. Somewhere along the line I lost one of those coming back. It's dropped somewhere on the floor, and I haven't been able to find it. But you can see these little tiny, let's see if you can see it, starfish. So again, they've been die cut, and they have some texture in them. Pretty cool. Let me set all these aside, and we can start preparing our DSP. So here actually, before we start that, let's do some stamping. And I'm going to stamp on this pumpkin pie with the thanks so much, and I'm going to be doing some embossing. So let me bring in my embossing additions kit, and that kit comes with the tray, embossing buddy, reverse tweezers, and a brush. And I'll give you a short catalog tour after my presentation, so you'll know where to find all these items. So with my embossing buddy, I'm going to put some of that down right here in the corner where I'm going to put my greeting. Be much the same as this one. And this helps with static, so when I ink a stamp with the ink and pour my embossing powder over it, it will only stay where the ink is. Now this is old packaging. We now have the Wow embossing powders. I'm getting to the end of this white, so soon I'll be transitioning over to the new product. But meanwhile, old packaging. So with Versamark, I'm going to ink up. So Versamark is a watermark ink. It's thick. It is water-based. But because it's a thick ink, it doesn't dry immediately like our regular ink pads. And I'm going to put it down here in the corner. I'm going to stamp, and then I'm just going to hold it for a couple seconds while that thick ink moves from the stamp onto the cardstock. And then you can see how it, that watermark, so it's the same color as the cardstock. It just lightens it a bit. And now I'm going to bring in my scrap paper and my white embossing powder. And I'll just pour this right over top and then right back into the container. So you can see why this powder will last such a long time. So now the powder is stuck to where the Versamark ink was. I can pour the remains back into the container. Set this aside. I'm going to bring in my reverse tweezers to hold and my heat tool. Now this heat tool is very hot. It might look like a hair dryer, but it gets up to 400 degrees, in excess of 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Very, very hot. And that's why the tweezers come in handy. And once it's heated, I can direct it to the powder. It will melt the powder. You can see how it goes from a dull color to a very shiny color. And that's, once it's shiny, you're done. Turn your heat tool off and put it to the side. And this will just take a few seconds to cool. And while that does, I wanted to show you how to clean the Versamark off of your stamp. So I have a Stampin' Scrub here. And one side is drying and the other side is for liquid or wetness. It has little raindrops. And I have my Stampin' Mist, again old packaging. I just buy the refills and fill the small bottle, and I put it directly onto my stamp and then rub it on my Stampin' Scrub, and this will remove the Versamark ink. And now my stamp is clean. And my sentiment has cooled. I'm going to bring in a paper towel, and now I'm going to rub away. Now I'm rubbing away the embossing buddy dust. So let's proceed now with cutting our DSP for this pattern. I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. Now this again is 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. So on the 3 1/2 inch side, the long side, we are going to cut this. Now on my sample, I started cutting with the smallest measurement first and then proceeded to the larger measurements. It was very difficult to get this little strip lined up perfectly. So I am going to reverse this. I'm going to cut the larger patterns first from the top and then move on down. And hopefully that it will assist with when I'm assembling. So we're going to cut 1 inch. And again, my metric friends, I will have those measurements in the PDF. Cut 1 inch, another 1 inch. We want to line these up correctly. And then 3/4 of an inch. Let's see if I can get this in here without jiggling it too much. There we go. So 3/4 of an inch, and then at the 1/2 inch mark, and that will leave us a 1/4 inch on the, so we're going to get one that's a 1/2 inch and one that's a 1/4 inch. So there's our 1/4 inch, and there's our 1/2 inch, and we're going to line those up and keep them in the same order that we cut them. And they will get assembled or adhered to on the paper pumpkin pie. So let me dry fit those real quick so we can see where they'll go. So we'll have the 1 inch, the second 1 inch, the 3/4 inch, the 1/2 inch, and we want to keep these rather close together, and then the 1/4 inch, like so. So let's just put these to the side, and now we can proceed. And I think it's going to be easier if I do this, lay my cardstock perpendicular to me. And let's start with the top, make sure we got the top piece. So I'll be using my liquid multi-purpose glue to adhere this, and I want to keep this top and the sides equal distance. So about the same measurement here and here and here. And I would say this is about 1/8 of an inch. Metric friends, that's probably 3 millimeters. So, and then using the paper, make sure that the patterns match up. I'm going to put that rather close, not right next to the other piece of DSP. So rather close. Make sure the top and the bottom line up with the edges. Oops. And the liquid glue is kind of floating and moving my DSP. Now we're going to cut with our third piece, again with the liquid glue. And I would put a thin bead on. I'm not trying to have it ooze out the ends or between. So again, it's rather close, but not touching the DSP above it. To make sure, nope, nope, whoa, whoa. Oh no, see? I got that one going upside down, but I think, let me see if I can use my take your pick tool and lift this up. I got it upside down, but I think I can recover. Oh my, what a mess. I'm sure I'm not the first one to adhere something that I didn't mean to, right? But all is not lost, because I think we can get this paper up. So let's try that again. Just more liquid glue, maybe a little bit thicker this time so I can move it around. And this time, yeah, there we go. That's the pattern we were looking for. Well, the direction of the paper. Okay. Now our next piece will fit in properly. So the save, yes. Anybody else? I know that that's not the first time I've done that. I'm sure you have also experienced the same thing. You put it in the order you want, and then lo and behold, some reason, somehow, it, yeah, gets out of order, or you just put it on upside down like I did. Okay, so let's do this. Hopefully this one will work. Yeah. No worries if it doesn't, because we can always fix that, right? And nobody will ever be the wiser that for a minute there I was panicking. All right, so there is our front piece, and we can start assembling the rest of the card. Now, I do have two pieces of basic white. The larger piece will go on the inside, and the smaller piece is going to be layered on that smaller piece of basic white. So that smaller piece was 3 3/4 by 5 inches, or 9.5 centimeters by 13.9. I believe that's what the measurements are. Metric is not my first measurement language, so yeah, we do the best we can. And this is going to go on the inside, and I have cut this little scrap of DSP for the inside, just a little small decoration. And we're going to use some of those die cuts on the front, so they will tie in with the inside with the front of the card. There we go. So that's all good. And now let's get the rest of it. Oh, I did not score this. I usually score, but we can just fold it in half, like so. Usually I would bring in my boom folder, but I have misplaced it, so it's just got to be this way. And then let's do the inside first, and we're going to work on the front card. So let's adhere this layer to the inside layer to the card. And that's a nice pop of color. Now, I had thought, and I didn't do it for this card, but I'm going to suggest that maybe you cut the front layer, cut 2 of these, and put this on the inside, and the little piece, because then it's going to mimic the front. It's just a thought. I didn't do it with this card, but I think you could see what you have this on the front, and then when you turn it over, that white piece, basic white, is bigger. That maybe for the eye, it would have been nicer if I had cut 2 of these white pieces and use that for my inside. Just something to think about. Hey, leave me a comment what you think about that idea. Would you do that? Cut a smaller piece for the inside? It's just an idea. So, yeah. It's always about changing things up a little bit, experimenting, and making it your own. Okay, so that piece is now our front is here. I'm going to take my die cut, because like I said, I wanted to change things up. I'm going to put that right here in front, and then I'm going to take some of these little starfish and decorate the front too, instead of these purple adhesive backs sequins. Those are these sequins are part of Celebration, as is this paper, Toadstool Gardens. Now, if you like both, you can purchase the Ocean Friends bundle and the DSP, and you would qualify for either of these Celebration items, the Toadstool Gardens DSP or the purple adhesive back sequins. So yeah, you could really get a 2-for-1. So I think I thought about putting some dimensionals behind here. I'm not sure. What do you think? Dimensionals, no dimensionals? As I consider myself the queen of dimensionals, let's use dimensionals. Why not, right? So these are the mini dimensionals, and I'm going to try to just hide them randomly behind some of this coral pieces. And then maybe just put some glue at the top. So maybe one more. See one more. Like so. If we turn this over, I think that's going to look very nice. So let's take off these backings. I think I've said before, if I was on a deserted island, I definitely would need dimensionals. It seems I make very few cards without dimensionals. I just like the look that they bring, the texture, the lift, interest. So then with my liquid glue, I'll just put a couple little dabs to hold these upper fronds, maybe tack them down so they're not loose and they won't get snagged when they go in and out of a envelope. Okay, so then I was going to put that towards the bottom like so, and we can just push down. There we go. I like that. And then for my little starfish, put those over here. So I'm replacing the sequins on this card. Let's see if you can see those sequins with these little starfish. And I found that if I just put a little dab of glue, then I could set the starfish on top of it. Oop, that one just jumped away. I was trying to be neat about this. Let's do a little dab of glue there. I don't think I want the summer splash near the summer splash. How's that? Change it up, and then we'll put the summer splash down on this end. Okay. And there we have the Ocean Friends card with Friends of the Ocean DSP. So what do you think? Pretty neat, nifty use of DSP, I think. All right, as I promised, I'm going to do a very brief catalog tour. So this is the mini catalog, January to April. And on page 30 and 31, we have the Ocean Friends, the bundle, and the paper, the Friends of the Ocean paper. You can see all those bright colors. Here they taken that coral and put some of the starfish on top of it. Pretty nifty. So that's page 31 where you can find the bundle and the paper. And then the annual catalog, we'll start with page 83, and this is where you can find the Stampin' Scrub here, and the Stampin' Scrub cleaner and the Stampin' Mist cleaner. For when you're using something that's a thicker ink. And then on page 126, this is where you have all the items you need for heat embossing. So we have the Versamark ink. We have the embossing powder. I use the basics with the white. The heat tool. And then here at the bottom is where you can find that embossing additions kit that has the reverse tweezers, the embossing buddy, and the tray. And then on page 136, Melon Mambo cardstock, pumpkin cardstock, Granny Apple Green cardstock. And if we turn the page to page 139, There's the Summer Splash cardstock, and here at the bottom you can find the basic white cardstock. That's page 139. Thank you so much for joining me for the Woohoo Weekend. I really appreciate it. You joining me watching on replay or live during the Woohoo Weekend event. Like and subscribe to my channel if you're watching this on YouTube. And until next time, remember, stamping is fun. Bye.